Peace. Pardon the noise, it's raining like a motherfucker over here, but I'm gonna make this video anyway. I basically just want to talk about how it could be so seemingly blatant and obvious for so many of us, and as more and more things are uncovered and come to light, that this whole agenda has been cooked up and manipulated, and that people are still going along with it. And I realize what it is. Once people have committed to subscribing to it, and they've had enough arguments with people where they doubled down time after time, questioned other people's integrity, other people's intelligence, shamed them, belittled them for not following the narrative, no matter what comes to light after that, it's very hard for anybody to retract all of that, because they've committed themselves on that level to what they believe being true. And even if it becomes painfully obvious that what they thought was true is not true anymore, they're going to fight like hell to find a way to think that it is. Because otherwise, there's a lot of humility that comes with admitting that they jumped the gun. So, those of us who aren't going for this, just stay strong. We can't convince anybody. The people who at this point still don't see what it is, there's no change in their mind. Like I said, they're entrenched in that belief, and there's really nothing's going to pull them out of it. After everything that's already happened, if that didn't pull them out of it, there is nothing. And you just got to stay strong. The reason they're going so hard right now to get the rest of us is because they don't have the numbers they want. They don't have enough people that they can really mandate the rest of us the way they want to and get away with it. And that's why they're pressuring people, shaming people, bribing people to get this, because they know at this point, anyone who didn't get it already, everybody's had ample opportunity. Everybody has already passed up the bribery and all of that. So they know they're not with it. So they're trying to pressure people, manipulate them, use people's family. Like I said, shame tactics, threats, financial threats especially. And that's why we all have to become entrepreneurs, because first of all, everybody's a genius at something. The way the system is set up, they try to steer us away from figuring out what that is for each individual, because that doesn't fit their purposes. Your living your purpose is against their purpose for you, because they just want you to be a blind worker. I believe it was John Rockefeller that said, we don't want thinkers, we want workers. So they don't want you really figuring out what you're meant to do on this earth or what your purpose is. They want you following the matrix. So if everybody were to really tune in to their core being, there's something that you're a genius at. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you can't speak, if you're mentally challenged, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You're a genius at something. Everybody is. And if we tapped into that, we would each be able to contribute tremendously to society in a way to sustain ourselves and then some, live comfortably, and actually enjoy our entire life, instead of spending half of your waking life doing something that you despise just to earn an income, or something that doesn't meet your needs as far as fulfilling your true meaning in this life. So, we're steered away from that. But if we can get back to that, we can't be pawns of theirs anymore when they try to get us to go against what we know is right for our genetic integrity, for our health, by trying to manipulate us by threatening termination of our jobs or withholding of government checks or whatever it is that they try to do. We need to make sure now we're not dependent on their system anymore. And it really starts with that independence as far as how you earn your living. It's very important we get out of this system of thinking we have to work for these corporations, because they own all of these corporations. If you look into the stock market, it's all public information. You could go on Yahoo Finance or whatever. There's two companies that own absolutely everything: BlackRock and Vanguard. And then Berkshire Hathaway is the third one, but BlackRock and Vanguard own pretty much every stock there is. Coke, Pepsi, Nike, Adidas, doesn't matter. All the things that we think are two competing entities, like two competing companies, they're owned by the same people when you follow the money. So even though the technical CEO of the companies aren't the same, when you follow who actually owns the majority of the stocks and who really owns the company, it all ties back to those two companies. And then when you follow the money of those two companies, it goes back to the same people that own everything that we already know about. Some of them being the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the DuPonts and, all these groups that we've been knew about. And of course, there's some people that are more covert that we don't know about. But it's those same people that pull all the strings for everything. They literally own all these corporations. So working for these corporations, we have no freedom, essentially, because whenever they want to pull strings and threaten our livelihood, they'll do so through these corporations. And if we're dependent on them for our financial sustenance, then we are gonna fall victim to that. So it's very important. Now, why do you think they killed Nipsey Hussle? Besides the Sabi thing, of course, they don't want people getting the two things. He stood for the two things that are the best for us as human beings, which is the worst for the agenda of the wicked people who run this shit. And that is taking your own health into your hands, keeping your immune system good, actually eating real food, and nurturing your body in a way that you don't need to fall into the medical system and the pharma system that is a huge business where they need you to stay sick in order to keep the wheels turning. And also they don't need you being an entrepreneur. They need workers. They don't need you following your purpose and doing what you're here to do. They need you following their purpose, which is the opposite of your purpose. So those two things that are the best for us, that are the worst for them, are things that Nipsey Hussle was helping us implement. And especially that it was people in the lower economic stratosphere that he was helping to understand these things. They got rid of him. So through the knowledge, man, why do you think they kill all these people, these people with integrity? Everybody who stands up for us and has integrity, they wipe them out. That's all a coincidence? So all these people that are saying we're crazy for not going along with this narrative, let me ask you this. Do you think that the government has proven itself to be trustworthy over time, at any point in time? Do you think that the pharmaceutical industry has proven themselves to be trustworthy at any point in time? Do you think that the people in charge of the financial system have proven themselves to be trustworthy at any point in time? Can you point to any time in history, in the last few hundred years, that has been the case? And if not, then how could you possibly try to shame us for not trusting these people? These people have proven themselves to be wicked time and time again. They've proven themselves to be the least trustworthy people, and meanwhile, you're trying to ostracize us and shame us for not trusting them. Really think about that. Really detach yourself from the television and the programming. First of all, let's get into that. All the things that they do it very blatantly. They do it right in your face. They get off on that. The etymology of all the words that they use are very specific to already basically let you know what's going on. And that way they can absolve themselves of the guilt of what they're doing to a certain degree, because they're doing it so blatantly that they figure they're basically telling you. So television, tell-lie-vision, that's not a coincidence. Let's get into why is it a TV program? Why is it a program? Because they're programming you, right? All these things are seemingly obvious, right? Even channel, right? They're channeling wicked spirits and using them on you. Then let's get into news, right? It's a news story. They don't even word these things like you're supposed to trust them or have integrity. Like they're letting you know what it is. It's a news story. What's a story? A made-up account, a made-up recollection of a fictional event. That's news. News is called a story. It's called a news story. They're telling you all of these things they're doing. They're telling you. Event 201. It's right in your face. Literally, the couple months before this whole pandemic, they had a staged event where they mapped out the entire scenario as it is, and spoke about how they are going to have to silence people on social media for misinformation, how they were going to have to get control of the news narrative and make sure that all media was on the same page. And the same thing with the CDC and all these organizations, how they were all going to have this same narrative between them, and make sure that they had a stronghold on any sort of information. Like they literally mapped the whole thing out. It's all public record. It's all there to find. How could anybody not see it? It's like I said, it's because when you've doubled down enough times and you've committed to it and you've insulted people and you've gone that far, it takes a special level of humility to be able to go back and say, you know what, I made a mistake. And anybody who has done that, I salute you, because, you know, that takes integrity. It takes integrity to have gone the wrong way, you know, double down, going out of your way to insult people, and then realize you're wrong and actually come back and admit to the truth. So anyone who has done that, I truly salute you. The rest of you who are clinging to this facade that even subconsciously you know isn't real, at some point, you're either going to have to snap out of it, or you're just going to live your whole life in the matrix, in this dream world. And like I said, subconsciously, you know this is all full of shit. You can't possibly believe this. None of you could possibly believe this. I'm sorry. There's no way. There's no way. So that's all I have to say for now, man. I truly wish everybody well. The last thing I'm going to say is we all have to stop falling for the divide and conquer. So we've done it for years on race, religion, whatever, you know, politics, of course. That's another thing, two-party system that's run by the exact same people. I don't care if you like Trump or Biden, you're out of your mind. They both run by the same people. If you think Trump was this maverick who went his own way, nah. When it comes down to it, yeah, he might run off his mouth when he feels like it, but when it comes down to it, he does what he's told to do. After all of that, he still told his followers to get the shot, right? He still goes along with the narrative when it matters to them. He's not gonna get his brains blown out. He knows what time it is. And Biden, you think he came in and saved the day from Trump? Like, if you got either side, if you guys really believe any of these people have any power, or they're beneficial, or they're not complete puppets that are working for the same world bankers, you're not paying attention. You're not. So what I was trying to say is we all need to stop falling for the division. It's the way that they've controlled and manipulated society for centuries now. It's divide and conquer. They pit us against each other for all these different reasons. We never come together and unify to actually pay attention to the people behind the scenes and what they're doing to manipulate us. And now the new form of that is this shot. Those who are for it, those who are against it, both sides, we're both playing into it. And I've done the same. I'm not going to act like I haven't. I get very frustrated with the shaming and a lot of the stuff that people are helping the powers that be to do to those of us who are not going along with this. And so that I then have lashed back out at people who are pushing that narrative. And of course, you know, that we as people who are not going for this are ostracized. And, you know, both sides are playing into it. It's just a new form of separation, and we all need to stop going for that. I saw something beautiful the other day, a video in Italy that vaccinated people who were given these green passports were in solidarity with those who weren't going for this, and are now being ostracized and having their rights stripped of basic human rights of just living life. The individuals who were vaccinated and did get their pass were burning them in the protest in solidarity with those who didn't get the pass because they didn't go for it. And that is a beautiful thing to me. That's showing that no matter how you side on this issue, you realize that we all have a basic right to freedom of choice and autonomy over our own bodies, and that nobody should be stripped of their basic human rights for not going along with basically a science experiment, something that has no background in order to ensure safety, and nobody can argue that it does. You could say whatever you want, but there's no legitimate argument to say that there is enough understanding of the long-term effects to try to force this on anybody in that way. So whatever side you're on, whether you think it's a good idea for you to get it or not, that's your business. But we should all be able to agree that this is tyranny to force this on people in the way that they're doing it. And we should all be against that, because at a certain point, it's going to be something that they're trying to force on you that you're not in agreement with. Even if you're in agreement with this, at some point there's going to be something you're not in agreement with. They've already realized they can force these things on us. They're going to use the same tactics to force it on you. Then you're going to be up in arms. Well, that means that right now you should be up in arms, because at the end of the day, you have to fight tyranny on all fronts. It's like freedom of speech. You can't be excited when they silence Trump or when they silence Republicans just because you're a liberal, because at the end of the day, freedom of speech isn't about what you like or what you don't like. It needs to apply across the board, because if they can do that to them, at some point there's going to be something that you feel like you deserve to say and you need to say, and they're going to tell you you can't see it. So you can't say it. So you have to protect these things whether it reflects your opinion or not. These are just basic human rights that we all need to fight for, no matter what side of the coin we're on. And once we understand that, they can no longer push forward this complete takeover, this complete eradication of democracy globally, worldwide. It's going on. We need to stand together, no matter what. No matter what we disagree on, we need to stand together. That's our only way. That's our only hope. And like I always say, their only power is our agreement to their power. If we stop agreeing to their power, they cease to have any. And they know that. And this is all because they're afraid. This whole thing that's going on right now is really out of their fear. They knew that the population was waking up and that the collective consciousness was raising inevitably, and all the astrological alignments coincide with that. They know what time it is. They study all of that. And they knew that they had to put a stop to it, and in whatever way that they could, in order to preserve their power for as long as possible. And the only way that they could put a stop to the raising of consciousness is through fear. And they've controlled us with fear for years. Why do you think there's always a new thing that we're supposed to be afraid of? There's never a moment where there's not some huge emergency that they're trying to scare us to death about. If you watch TV, if you watch the news, there's always something that they're telling you should shit your pants about. And if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you. But we need to snap out of it. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. That's the realest quote in the world. This whole life is just one dimension of our existence, and the soul is infinite. And the more that we cease to fear things, the more that we will be able to live our purpose truly and do what we know is right, as opposed to do things based on pressure because of fear. We need to come together, everybody, please. I'm appealing to all of your sensibilities, no matter what you believe. Peace and love.